It's time for Weird Hour. Woo! I'm excited for that. Welcome aboard, Steve N. Allen, broadcaster and comedian extraordinaire. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing all right, but I'm just realising Weird Hour. What are you saying about me that I'm invited onto Weird Hour? I'm not that odd, am I?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair. Well played. Well said.
Yeah, it's N for Nutter. We all know it. But no, it's Paul Cox and I. It's sort of like because he comes and sits there, and it gets even weirder because I don't know. Like Paul Cox is the weirdest person I've ever met. I love him for it.
Yeah, no, he's very weird. Properly, strange, worrying actually.
Yeah, he is. He's like so spectacularly weird. It's like it's an entirely new aesthetic, and I'm here for it. But let's talk about some of the mad things that have been going on in the press as per usual. There's never a boring day. Considering I spent the last 2 hours banging on about what makes a British person, do they have to be white and Christian, we may as well lead with this. W07, what am I on about? 007 has to be a white man, says former Bond girl Maryam, who played Kara Milovy in The Living Daylights. And she asked if she thought a black actor could be cast, said, then don't call it Bond. Call it something else. You can have a wonderful black hero, but you don't have to call him James Bond. I kind of agree with that. It's like, why can't you just have your own things, make new things? Why do you need to sort of reverse engineer the stuff we've already got?
Yeah, I mean, she makes a very good point. We do need, for context, to remember that she was in a Timothy Dalton one, so she was willing to play under a Welsh Bond. No, I'm just saying that to wind you up. No, look, I think she makes a really good point that actually you can have more titles, more IP. You don't just have to have Bond and like absolutely every spy has to be called Bond. There are other words, there are other surnames out there. There are more numbers than 7, which actually means you've got plenty of scope. I don't want to go into all the counting numbers, but you really could have a full panoply of them. And look, she makes a really good point. It does feel like people are just having to do, you've got to have one of these, you've got to have one of these. Although the whiteness is not guaranteed, is it? Barbara Broccoli says that it's definitely got to be a bloke. We know we're not going to go the woman route, which is almost a shame because we know all Bond films has 007 getting off with loads of women, and I'd still go along and watch that. But yeah, I actually think there'd be a bigger scandal if it were played by a black actor. Because let's think about the traits we know about James Bond: violent, kills people, sleeps with lots of women. I think if you try and imply that, you'd be called racist.
That is so true. But it's, I mean, I just think they're extremely good at sort of building up anticipation. Who should the next Bond be? It's just the best PR. When all that anyone talks about is who the next Bond's going to be, who it should be, who is the best Bond, what the qualities of Bond should be, so on and so forth. It just has us all on tenterhooks. It's a genius move. Who's your favourite Bond?
Well, do you know, I do enjoy the Daniel Craig ones, but I grew up in the era of Roger Moore, and I like the humour of those ones. I love the eyebrow raise and then something really smutty.
I always think that men's favourite Bond is Roger Moore. Men just love a bit of Roger Moore because he was sort of like this caricature character who always just had a really cool selection of like dressing gowns, and was just like the ultimate sort of smutty gentleman. And so men look at Roger Moore and be like, yeah. That's the sort of man I want to be. Whereas women go, nah, I'd take Sean Connery any day.
You say that, but I mean, from my point of view, all of the Bond films that had Roger Moore in them always ended with such a carry-on joke, with Q saying something that was just pure smut. I think there was The Spy Who Loved Me. What do you think you're doing? Actually, it was Roger Moore who actually had the line. What do you think you're doing, 007? Just keeping the British end up.
Oh.
I mean, it's just, it's like Carry On, but I absolutely loved it. But you do need to remember The Living Daylights when he was way too old to do any of it. It was more belly than man and somehow winning judo fights with Grace Jones.
Oh, it was brilliant. You could see him barely able to blimmin' walk in that film, and yet there he was, sort of jumping through elevator shafts and stuff. Which is the one? I think my favourite scene ever in any James Bond, I went through a period of watching them all back, and there's one, and it's somewhere, I think it's based somewhere like Haiti or the Caribbean, and it's all voodoo and stuff. And then at the end there's a sort of grapple going on in the piranha pool, and that might be Roger Moore, force feeds the man this inflating bullet or something, and he just turns into this giant balloon, flies up to the sky and explodes, and I love it.
Live and Let Die, if it's the Haiti, if it's the voodoo ones. Yeah, Roger Moore, definitely. Theme tune, not the Beatles, everyone thinks it, but it's just Paul McCartney. I'm a nerd. Have I let slip the fact that I'm a bit of a Bond nerd? Whoops.
Bond is amazing, though. When you actually go back and rewatch them all, it's just brilliant. And I was quite pleased towards the end of the sort of the end of the more recent Bonds. We started to get back to cheesy Bond.
Yeah. Although it was, Daniel Craig says that Austin Powers ruined that style of Bond, that actually in all of the Daniel Craig ones, they couldn't do anything that was high gadgetry or any, Q did nothing other than was quite good at IT. Literally in the Daniel Craig ones, Q could have been a call centre in India. But apparently just ruined by Austin Powers. All of the cliches that you would use in Bond were just ruined. We'd all learn to laugh at them instead. And people keep forgetting about how good Pierce Brosnan was, though.
I love
Against some of those, they were great films.
I love the fact that you just say Pierce Brosnan and Dean behind the glass starts doing some sort of like football arms. He's clearly Team Boz. I love Boz. That man is so handsome. It's like, you are ridiculous. I reckon out of all the Bonds, to me, he's the, if I were to read the book and picture Bond, I think Brosnan's the one who comes closest to what Bond is in my imagination.
Yeah, although Sean Connery was too tall, wasn't he, to actually be in MI5, MI6, isn't it? You can't be over 5'10" because they didn't want any spies that stood out, and Sean Connery was a 6-footer or 6'2". So, right? Yeah, you got to suspend your disbelief, or he had to crouch.
I didn't know that. Also, can I just say, before we move off Bond, one of the greatest, most ridiculous scenes of any Bond film, which you just couldn't get away with now in 2026, is in You Only Live Twice. That's my favourite Bond. It's got that volcano situation, which is just too cool. But it's a bit where he goes to Japan and he has all that weird stuff. He has his chest waxed and they put fake eyelids on him to look more Japanese. And he comes out like, what's that supposed to be?
And he's still 6'2", probably like the only basketball player they've ever met. It's amazing.
Oh, it's utterly brilliant. Right, now talking about transforming yourself into something that is a sight for sore eyes, the Bank of England says gender-fluid male staff can wear eyeshadow and high heels to the office in a new dress code. Love it. So basically, if I went down the Bank of England tomorrow, is it going to be like that, what's that trans programme where all the men dress up in funny clothes? I don't know. There's a famous
one. On the BBC.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But Doctor Who.
Yeah, good point, well made. Yeah, I mean, they've gone from quite the strict dress code before. I mean, nothing official, but it was frowned upon that men should wear brown shoes. Imagine that. You've gone from too much of a transgression to wear brown shoes. You've got to wear black shoes. They can be a 5-inch heel these days, but please, not brown. You've got some standards to uphold. And as a little aside, how are we still doing... Well, the phrase gender fluid sounds more like brake fluid than anything else. Do you know what I mean? It feels like if you spot any of that, you want to check for a leak, and which they very much could be one. But... I suppose this is easy to mock, but this is the area where, look, as long as you can sort out your single-sex spaces and toilets and sports, feel free to dress up to work looking like whatever you want to look like, and also it should be free to mock people who look like that if it looks mockable. But this one, yeah, you know what, if you've got your silly dress codes, fill your boots, and I'm sure they'll be very stylish boots.
I mean, this is it. When you look back at British history, OK, because I'm a bit like you, single-sex toilets, that's got to be the way it is. Men aren't allowed in women's sports. Men aren't allowed in women's changing rooms. If you want to wear a frock, be my guest. And also, it's up to every individual business to decide if they're going to have some sort of uniform or dress code. But when you look back at British history, at the point that the British Empire was at its largest, was the Jacobean period. Have you seen what men look like then? These massive ruffs around their necks and beauty spots and big wigs.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? And powdered faces just to cover up how ill they looked. Which is odd, because if anything, you go more ill by being powdered. You think, like, I'm going to cover up some of these blemishes by making it look like I've already been done by the undertakers. Weird.
Yeah, let's put some, neat mercury onto my face, lest anyone sees all the welts on my skin. It's hardly a brilliant concept. Now, apparently Paloma Faith has sparked fury. After slamming parents-to-be who staged gender reveals for their babies. She's expecting a third child. And she's poked fun at gender reveals, saying she had a blue balloon in one hand, a pink in the other, then said, "This is my gender reveal post. Is it going to be a boy? Is it going to be a girl? I want all of you to know." And then she goes, "Oh, does it matter? No one gives a beep about gender anymore. You beep, beep. Homophobic, beep." And I'm like, I think all of it's a nonsense. I think the people who bring up their child as an it are quite frankly perverted, and that's a form of abuse. I also think people who think anyone cares unleashing all these pink balloons or blue balloons have a very inflated sense of how interested we are in their offspring.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? She's right for all the wrong reasons. That can happen. When I saw the headline saying she's mocking gender reveal parties, it was like, finally, because what a waste of time. I'm sure you care about the sex of your future child. No one else does. Let me tell any prospective parents, no one cares either way. Oh, okay, we found out which one it is. No, right, well, tell me later. However, her take on it was, do we care about gender anymore? Well, I mean, no, therefore you shouldn't care about gender fluid. This is what I don't get my head around with this whole situation. In fact, I was trying to talk to my 3-year-old son about this, actually, that whatever you do, right, you're a boy, so whatever you do, that's what boys do. It doesn't matter what you do, whatever you do, that's what boys do. Because there is something about this modern way of doing it, which is so conforming to gender stereotypes, that you have to think, hang on, society tells me men do this, there's one of them I don't do, so I must be they. Huh? No, just do you. Whatever you are, crack on with it. If you want to sit around watching the musicals, which I might do, I'm still very manly. I'm not into football. I can very much sing all of the songs in My Fair Lady. Does that mean I have to transition? No. I'm a bloke, so whatever I do, that's bloke stuff.
That's exactly it. I swear, like, you know, as a teenager, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I wanted to join the Scouts because my brother got to, like, make, like, little bombs and stuff like that. And in the guides, we had to make soap, which was a bit rubbish in comparison. I used to go riding my bicycle with my brother, watching Formula One, love Formula One. I'd have been, like, you know, forced into having top surgery.
You would have been absolutely full of drugs. You still wouldn't have gone through puberty yet. That would have been a weird conversation to have, wouldn't it? Sit you down and tell you what's about to happen to your body. Yeah, and it's bizarre that this is a group of people who you would imagine would push back against societal expectations. And yet, if anyone, blow my faith, if you're listening, and I'm sure you're not, if anyone's obsessed with gender, it's that category. It's the people who worry about pronouns. Do you know what I mean? That you have to be obsessed about it to then think, I don't fit that definition.
You have to be obsessed with it to want to talk about it all the time, which no one ever really cared before. But this is the thing. Everything now has become so disgustingly narcissistic, like everything. Because I wouldn't, you know, gender reveal parties are terrible. No one wants them. They shouldn't exist. Like I said, it's parents who really believe that everyone really cares. You know, people apply to go, so what are you having then? Is it a boy or a girl? It's like, oh, that's amazing. This is just hollow things that you say to people, right? It's a bit like, oh, how was your day? Oh, it's rubbish. Okay, whatever, don't care. It's just the hollow rubbish you say to other people. You don't need to start having parties because of this. And what is driving me mad? I would have drawn the line when it came to, you know, when stag do's and hen parties started going abroad. I was like, that's too far now. You've gone too far.
Yeah. No one cares about all these. I'm not travelling to a foreign country for your wedding. You bring it nearer me. But I'm 2 kids in, right? So I've already offsprung twice, and never have I shown a scan of any of them to anyone else other than just members of the family. And even then, if you know, brothers and sisters probably don't care. The idea when you know someone and they go, oh, we've had a scan, and they start going through the wallet, whatever, for a picture. I'm not going to be able to see what it is. These things are impossible to interpret. You might as well show me a satellite picture of a weather front. I can't tell. They go, oh, look at his face. It's not. It's an ultrasound scan of bone. You can't tell what things look like from that. No one cares. And at least I thought I'd be lost. You know, as soon as you become a parent, you might be overtaken by all the hormones and be that annoying. Thankfully, I never did. So I never forced this on anyone. But I would never force a gender reveal on, other than the free cake. No one wants to turn up.
But I just think there's too, like, you know, we've never really had, what are those new mother parties that people have in America? I can't remember what they're called, but we don't really have those here.
Yeah,
that's it, baby showers. But, you know, all these people who sort of cling on to all of these are just greedy people who want permanent attention and presents and parties in their honour. Can we just go back to the days when a man and a woman got married, the women hung out together the night before, the men hung out together the night before, the men would probably get a bit drunk and headbutt a lamppost and the women would paint their nails. End of. That was fine. We didn't need to start going down gender parties, hen parties, activities weekends. Let's all go off to Croatia for a week. Just calm down. You're not that important.
Yeah, and actually, I'm maybe too miserable. Maybe I shouldn't have been like this. But when we were, people would always say, "Oh, what are you hoping for, a boy or a girl?" And I couldn't hold it in. I just had to say, like, it doesn't really matter what I want, does it? I'm not the most important thing in this. It doesn't matter what the mother wants, whether it's a boy or a girl. Let's all stop thinking our opinion or our wants are that important. Whatever it is the most important thing. I can't think of anything worse than expressing a preference and finding out your kid's the other one. Why have you just jaded this existence? Do you know what I mean? You're having a kid, shut your face, see what you get.
I love it. And if you've had a baby, You get to show one photo and that's it. You can't just go through the album and be like, oh, look at this. It looks a bit like, I'm going to say Matt Lucas as he popped up on the show earlier. You know, I don't... The amount of interest you have to frame, you go, oh my gosh, your baby's the most beautiful baby I've ever seen. What's that big mark on its head? You know,
I'd say what was great though. Yeah, with our kids, loads of people said, oh, he or she, because I've had one of each, said, oh, they look like you. Or what, big round face and balls. Like, of course babies are going to look like me.
You can actually play, like, you know, approved answer bingo when it comes to this. You always say which parent it looks like. You always say it's beautiful and strapping, or, you know, it's just like everyone knows that these are meaningless statements. There's no need to keep putting us through the pain of it.
Well, I will admit, though, if I could just quickly say this, when our first one was born, we genuinely thought, we've got a really good-looking baby. Why is it that other people's kids are pretty weird, but he's really cute. And now I look back at the first photos of him when he was born. What a bug-eyed monster! And yet somehow we just couldn't see it for like the first year. It's weird.
Oh, that's how it's supposed. That's all the oxytocin doing its job, so you don't end up bumping it off in order to have some more of someone else. That is nature's way of making you not commit infanticide. Right, let's take a little